What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about NIO. I want to go over some of the current data points, break it down what's moving it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So NIO is up 1.22%. So I think right now you're having a little bit of a technical breakout alongside just some FOMO leading into their upcoming earnings, which, in case you do not know, is this upcoming Friday. The morning, the open was a little bit of a iffy start, so it did have 486 a low, and I think a lot of that stems from a lot of the recent data. So macro data, you did have unemployment coming in a little bit hotter than the forecast, so 5.4 the actual, 5.1 the forecast, and then retail sales came in pretty much flat with the consensus. So somewhat mixed for that, but nonetheless though, I think there's just a lot of FUD floating around, and some of which is stemming from Lee's recent earnings, where they did signal a little bit of a slowing for sales. So I think a lot of people are just kind of translating that to across the board type of problems. So we'll have to wait and see for NIO's earnings, but there's a lot of FUD out there, and especially with NIO talking about cost cutting so much, and it looks like there was a internal meeting as well, another one that was completed on Friday, where in reality they just really hit it home that they need to really cut all any and all unnecessary expenses. So usually when this does happen right before an earnings, it's not a good sign, but then again, I think there's just a overwhelming amount of articles kind of talking about this. So I don't know if that's just meant to spook a lot of the broader market, kind of cause NIO to pull back leading into the earnings. I'm not really sure. But aside from that though, no other specific news or any SEC filings that have come out so far. You have shorts increasing roughly around 55,000 shares, so not all that much in reality. 15.23% of the free float is being shorted, works to be 203.44 million shares overall are being shorted. So I think just the FOMO and just the buying happening with NIO is definitely overdoing the shorts. So that's kind of a good thing. It'd be nice to see NIO leading into the earnings at that 550 range, or somewhere within that kind of $5 range at least. So let me know your general thoughts on that. And aside from that though, looking at options, market only opened roughly 30 minutes ago, so take this with a grain of salt, but 412,000 in calls, 181,000 in puts, and then 44% of all the options being done were bearish in nature. And as I've kind of shared with you, this is what usually happens is as soon as the market does open, you have a lot of puts, and then that way whoever are doing those puts has a financial interest in trying to bring NIO down. So I think that is what really happened first thing, but it looks like big money really wants to push NIO higher, and honestly, yeah, I think it's largely justified, as what I mentioned in my video yesterday. But looking here, you are seeing a consensus for it to be now roughly around that as high as $7 for this upcoming week. So that would be encumbering their earnings. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub 350. So it is going to be a crazy ride. In case you missed my video yesterday, the implied move for NIO, I'll pull up NIO. So the implied move is 10.42%. So almost a 53-cent move in either direction is anticipated, so just be prepared for that. Aside from all of that though, you have one transaction occurring on the secondary market above $100,000. It is a buy for 125,000, so pretty good for that. These are all the transactions occurring on the dark pool. So dark pool is already kicking off, very popular, a lot of pre-market ones as well. So yeah, let me know your general thoughts on that in the comments below. So yeah, just hit refresh, 2 more popped up. So big money is definitely pushing NIO higher, but with it at 504, it is successfully so far above this R1. Whether it holds it or not, or shorts try to double down, that's another kind of topic, but nonetheless, for today, just watch for 502. If it's able to close above that, then essentially you will see a nice continued push higher to ideally that 528, and then depending on what happens, even further than that. So just take note of some of the strong support and resistance points. But I think what has happened on that Thursday, Friday, NIO did get artificially somewhat pushed down too much. So I think over the next couple of trading days, you'll see a nice correction as it pushes higher. But aside from that, though, no other article is really coming out to worthwhile to bring up. Like I said, just a lot of fear, just talking about slowing deliveries, grouping in NIO with Lee's earnings, and just a lot of individuals talking about technicals. So at this stage in the game, everyone's just waiting for NIO to unveil their earnings. But on the actual chart itself, right now the ALMA is sitting at $4.92. So right now NIO is above that. It's above all the key pivotal moving averages, so the 100, 50, and also 200-day moving averages. So yeah, honestly, today looks absolutely kick-ass. Just kind of take note and watch for a lot of those. So that 502 and then 493 for that ALMA. And then worst case scenario, you have this, the 200-day moving average at 471. But aside from that, looking at stochastic RSI, you see it not really overbought, but is still under the neutral territory for the most part. So if it does continue to move higher, FOMO does kick in, then you could get somewhat overbought. The only reason why I'm bringing that up is typically if you do have a negative piece of news, whether it be specific to NIO or just the broader market, could cause some volatility. So just be kind of aware that going into NIO's earnings, you probably will have technicals somewhat overdone, but at the same time, I don't know, it could go either way as far as what the market tries to interpret NIO's earnings as. I think the only problem with NIO is that it is very heavily manipulated, and so in order for it to actually like go and stay up, like it takes a lot, as what I've shared. Like I think NIO's tried to break out many times, it always gets shut down. This time around it's actually showing the same type of makeup that happened in September when it did have that phenomenal run. So let me know your general thoughts. Are you buying the dip, or have you been buying the dip with NIO? Are you FOMOing in? What's your general 2 cents on all that? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon to get buy signals on stocks, options, and crypto. Many of them have been absolutely on point. Definitely worth a lot to pop over there and take a look. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.